What would you do if, in the middle of the night, desperate because you don't even have money left for your baby's formula, you accidentally texted the wrong number, and on the other end there was one of the richest men in New York? That's exactly what happened to Emma, a young single mom who was convinced she had hit rock bottom, without knowing that one simple message would change her life and her son. Noah is life forever. If you like stories where life turns upside down out of nowhere, where heart, dignity, and tough choices truly make a difference, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the upcoming stories. Emma was staring at the screen of her old phone, sitting on the floor of the tiny kitchen in her studio apartment in New York. It was almost midnight. The flickering neon light above the sink buzzed softly, and the sound of baby Makta. Noah, the lady's crying echoed in every corner of the apartment. She opened the fridge almost out of habit, even though she already knew what she would find. Nothing. A carton of expired milk, half a dried-out lemon, a jar of mustard, and not much else. No baby formula, no money left to buy it. She leaned her forehead against the fridge door, trying to hold back her tears. "Come on, Emma. Breathe," she whispered to herself, but the lump in her throat just kept getting tighter. She worked part-time as a cashier in a small neighborhood grocery store. The paycheck was barely enough to cover rent, utilities, and a few basic groceries. Noah's father had disappeared the moment he found out she was pregnant. No child support, no messages, no visits. Just silence. Her sister Emily lived in another city and was already struggling to make ends meet with 2 kids of her own. Her mom had health issues, and her pension didn't even cover her medication. Emma was alone. Or at least, that's how she felt. She scrolled through her messages, her fingers trembling. She had typed and deleted the same sentence at least 10 times. "I'm sorry to bother you. I'm ashamed to even write this, but could you lend me some money for baby formula? I'll pay you back as soon as I get my paycheck." That plea was meant for Kate, a co-worker she got along with, but not someone close enough to ask such a big favor from. "You sound desperate." "Because you are," she thought bitterly. Noah's crying grew louder from the other room. Emma felt the pressure pounding in her temples. "Okay, that's it. I'm doing it," she murmured to herself. She quickly typed, "Sorry for the late text, it's Emma. I know this is crazy, but I ran out of money and baby formula. I'm so embarrassed to ask, but could you lend me something? I'll pay you back on the 5th, as soon as I get my paycheck. I can send you a picture of the receipt if you want." She hit send before she could change her mind. The message went through. The screen dimmed for a second. Only then did Emma realize she had sent it to the wrong number. Her eyes widened. The name at the top wasn't Kate, grocery store, but a contact she had never seen before. Where a name should have been, there was just a long, unknown phone number, starting with a sequence she didn't remember ever dialing. "No, no, no, please no," she muttered, reopening the message that was already marked as delivered. She was just about to type, "I'm sorry, wrong number," when 3 dots appeared at the bottom of the screen. Someone was typing. Emma felt her stomach knot up. What if it was someone who would insult her? Or worse, someone who would have fun humiliating her for that message. The phone vibrated. A new text. "Who are you?" Just 2 words. Cold, dry. Emma swallowed and replied, "I'm sorry, I texted the wrong number. I'm really sorry. Please ignore the message." Only a few seconds went by. "You mentioned a baby. Is this a scam?" She gripped the phone. "Great. Now he thinks I'm a scammer." She sighed. She hurried to type, "No, it's not a scam. I really did text the wrong person. I was trying to reach a coworker. I'm truly sorry. I'm just in a tough situation. I didn't mean to drag you into this." Silence. No typing dots this time. Emma placed the phone on the table, went into the bedroom and picked up Noah, trying to soothe him by gently rocking him in her arms. The baby clung to her neck, eyes full of tears, his little face red from crying. "Baby, I promise I'll figure this out," she whispered, feeling the weight of every promise in the world crushing her shoulders. When she went back to the kitchen, the phone screen was lit up. There were 3 new messages. How old is the baby? Where do you live? Do you have a job? Emma hesitated. Was it even safe to answer a stranger? What if he was dangerous? Then she looked at Noah. She didn't really have many options. She replied, "He's 8 months old. I live in the Bronx, New York. I work part-time at a grocery store. I'm not trying to scam anyone. I'm even ashamed to explain all this to a stranger." At least 2 minutes went by. To her, it felt like an eternity. A new message popped up. "Send me your bank account or card number." Emma's eyes widened. "No, please. I can't accept money from a stranger. I'm really sorry. I already texted the wrong person. I don't want to take advantage of that." Another message came almost instantly. "I'm not offering a gift. Consider it a loan. Tomorrow at 12, I'll call you on video. If you don't pick up, I'll cancel the payment. If you answer, you tell me the truth. Deal?" Emma's heart started racing. This person was strange, but also incredibly straightforward. "A loan. Just a loan. I can pay it back," she repeated to herself, trying to convince her own conscience. Her hands were shaking as she typed in her prepaid card number. She hit send and stayed there motionless, standing in her small kitchen, with the feeling she had just jumped off a cliff. A few seconds later, a notification from the bank appeared. She had received money. When she saw the amount, she gasped. It wasn't just the few dollars needed for a can of baby formula. It was much, much more. Emma stared at the notification on the screen, unable to breathe for a moment. Plus $2,000 received. $2,000. To her, that was months of rent, bills, groceries. To that stranger, probably not much more than dinner at an expensive restaurant. A storm of questions exploded in her head. Who was he? Why was he trusting her, just like that, on her word? What did he want in return? The phone buzzed again. "Tomorrow at 12, don't forget the call." That was all. Emma barely slept that night. First, she ran out to buy baby formula. Then she prepared 2 bottles, fed Noah, and held him close until his crying turned into small, regular sighs. Then she went back into the kitchen and sat at the table, staring into space. What if tomorrow he expects something I can't give? She thought. What if he's dangerous, manipulative? One of those guys who thinks that just because he sent money, he owns you now. At dawn, she finally closed her eyes for about an hour, collapsing on the couch. When her phone started ringing exactly at noon with a video call, Emma jumped. She had quickly tied her hair into a messy bun and put on the least wrinkled t-shirt she owned. Noah sat in his high chair, nibbling on a biscuit. She glanced at the name on the screen. There was none. Just that same unknown number. She swallowed her fear and answered. On the screen appeared the face of a man in his 40s, slightly graying hair, a perfectly ironed white shirt, and behind him a big window overlooking the Manhattan skyline. "Good afternoon, Emma," he said, with a calm yet authoritative voice. "I'm Alexander Cole." The name didn't mean anything to her, but the way he talked, the place behind him, they clearly belonged to a world very far from hers. "Good afternoon. I'm really sorry about last night's message. It was a mistake," she began, embarrassed. He raised a hand. "I know. That's exactly why I'm interested," he replied. "You don't sound like a scammer. You just sounded desperate." Emma lowered her eyes. "I don't like that word. But yes, you're not completely wrong." Noah started babbling and banging on the high chair tray. Alexander noticed and gave a faint smile. "That's Noah, right?" "Yes," Emma replied, turning the phone toward the baby. "He's 8 months old, and he's the only thing in this world that keeps me going." Alexander watched him for a few seconds, then turned his gaze back to Emma. "I sent you more money than what you needed for baby formula," he said. "Why didn't you just pretend nothing happened and end it there? You could have blocked my number, used the money, and disappeared." Emma stared at him, puzzled. "Because that wouldn't be right," she replied. "You don't even know me. You helped me without telling me who you are, without asking anything in return. I could never sleep at night knowing I took advantage of that. I'll pay you back, even if it takes time." Alexander leaned back in his chair, studying her through the screen. He didn't look like a man who was used to being contradicted. Most people in front of him simply nodded. "Do you know who I am, Emma?" he asked after a short silence. She shook her head. "No. Why would I?" He raised an eyebrow, almost amused. "Usually people know. My name is on some magazine covers, sometimes on TV. I own several companies here in New York. One of them is the grocery chain where you work." Emma frowned. "Bright Market?" she asked, incredulous. "That's right." She was speechless for a moment. "So you're the owner, the billionaire, the one in the interviews, photos, charity events? The one who usually looks much friendlier on camera?" "Yes," he replied with a half-ironical smile. Emma let out a nervous laugh. "I don't know why you answered my text, why you sent me money, but thank you. I don't know what else to say." Alexander looked at her with a new seriousness. "Do I strike you as the type of man who sends money at random to people?" he asked. "Honestly?" "No," she replied without thinking too much. He nodded. "Exactly. I usually don't. But yesterday, I don't know why, your message stuck with me. Maybe because many years ago, I was the one asking for a loan and being told no." Emma stared at him, surprised. She couldn't imagine that man ever being in need. "Mi hai appena detto che l'hai imparata da internet e dalla biblioteca", disse Hassan in italiano per far capire agli altri. "La tua pronuncia non è perfetta, ma è buona. Molto buona per un autodidatta." Senza dare tempo a Luca di riprendersi, Hassan passò all'inglese. "Tell me, Luca, how many hours a day do you study?" Luca rispose immediatamente, sempre in inglese. "About 3 hours every day, sir. Sometimes more on weekend." Hassan passò al francese. "Et comment ta mère réagit quand tu passes ta quête tout ce temps à étudier?" "Elle est fière, monsieur", rispose Luca con un sorriso piccolo. "Ma mère dit toujours que l'éducation est la seule chose que personne ne peut nous enlever." "I'm not trying to act like your savior," he continued. "I want to make you an offer, but first, I need to know if you're lying." "Lying about what?" she asked. "About needing help, about your life, about who you really are," Alexander replied, bluntly. "This afternoon I'll come to the grocery store where you work. I'll pretend to be just a regular customer. No one will know who I am. I want to see how you work, how you treat people, how you behave when you think you're dealing with just a random guy. If what I read in your message is true, then we'll talk about a kind of help that goes far beyond baby formula." Emma felt her mouth go dry. "In the grocery store? But why?" "Because I've seen too many people suddenly become sweet and polite when they realize there's a 9-figure bank account in front of them," Alexander explained. "I want to see who you are when you think you're facing just an ordinary man." "And if you don't like what you see?" she dared to ask. "Then you'll treat that money as an unexpected gift, and we won't talk again," he replied calmly. Emma looked at him, torn between fear and gratitude. She had never experienced anything like this. "All right," she finally said, gripping the phone tighter. "Today I'm on shift from 3 to 9. Come whenever you want. I'll just be myself. I don't know how to be anything else." Alexander nodded slightly. "That's exactly what I want to see." The video call ended. Emma found herself staring at her own reflection on the now black screen, aware that the afternoon ahead wouldn't be just another day at work. Alle le 3, Emma stava dietro al registrator 4 e Bright Market, indossando la sua solita uniforme. Polo verde, pantaloni neri, nome tag con un angolo scheggiato. She checked the time on her wristwatch. "He's not coming," she thought. "A man like him, with all that he has going on, won't waste his time here." Maybe it was just a polite way to close things. Yet deep down, a smaller voice whispered, "What if he really does show up?" The first 2 hours went by with customers in a rush, moms with restless kids, elderly people asking for weekly discounts. Emma did what she had always done. She greeted everyone, counted change twice to avoid mistakes, smiled when someone treated her kindly, stayed polite even when someone sighed loudly or rolled their eyes. Every now and then, she glanced quickly at the entrance. Around 5:30, a man in dark jeans, a black t-shirt, and a leather jacket walked into the grocery store. Slightly graying hair, Sunglasses he took off as soon as he came in, just enough for Emma to recognize him. Alexander. Her heart started racing, but she forced herself to act like nothing was happening. He didn't go to her register right away. He walked around the aisles, picked up a few items, talked to a couple of employees, asked basic questions. He really looked like just another curious customer. When he finally queued up at Register 4, Emma took a deep breath. In front of him was an elderly woman struggling to pull bills out of her wallet. The line behind them began to get restless. "Ma'am, don't worry. Take your time," Emma said with a kind smile. "We are in no rush." A man behind them sighed loudly. "Can we move a little faster? Some of us have a job to get back to." Emma looked at him calmly. "I understand you're in a hurry, sir, but the lady needs a minute. We'll be as quick as we can." The elderly woman thanked her in a small voice. Alexander watched quietly, placing his groceries on the belt without saying a word. When it was finally his turn, Emma greeted him as she would anyone else. "Good evening. Did you find everything you were looking for?" He looked her in the eyes, a spark of approval flickering there. "Yes, thank you, Emma," he said, deliberately using her name. She swallowed, but didn't comment. She scanned the items, told him the total, took the cash he handed her. Their hands briefly brushed. Alexander noticed her reddened knuckles, her slightly chapped fingers. "Do you always work here?" he asked, as if it were just small talk. "Almost always. Part-time," she replied, printing the receipt. "The rest of the time I spend chasing Noah around the house," she added with a shy smile. "That must be exhausting," he commented. "It is," she nodded, "but it's the best kind of tired in the world." He picked up the bags, lingered a second longer than necessary, then nodded and walked away without another word. No speeches, no dramatic scenes, just a charged exchange of looks. As she served the next customer, Emma wondered whether things had gone well or badly. But in the end, she told herself it didn't matter. She had simply been herself, just like she promised. That evening, when she got home, she found Noah already asleep in his crib, cheeks full and rosy, thanks to the bottles that were finally plentiful. She hung up her jacket, set her bag on the table, and her phone buzzed. A text. "You did a good job today." Emma smiled faintly. "I didn't do anything special." "Just my job," she replied. His answer came almost immediately. "That's exactly what's special. I'd like you to come to my office tomorrow. No pressure. Just a proposal. I'll send you the address." Then came the location, a skyscraper in Manhattan. Emma felt the world tilt slightly. She looked at Noah sleeping, then at the phone. "I have nothing to lose," she murmured. The next day, she put on the best shirt she owned, tied her hair back, and left Noah with a neighbor who sometimes helped her out, promising she'd be back in a few hours. When she stepped into the skyscraper lobby, she felt completely out of place among men in suits, women in business outfits, heels clicking against the marble floor. She told the receptionist her name, and, a few minutes later, an assistant escorted her upstairs to a bright office with a spectacular view of New York. Alexander was there, behind a large glass desk. "Emma," he said, standing up to shake her hand. "Thank you for coming." She sat down, trying not to look too intimidated. "Why am I here?" she asked bluntly. He appreciated her directness. "Because I believe you deserve a better chance than the ones life has given you so far," he replied. "Yesterday at the store, you didn't know who I was. You could have taken out your frustration on the first customer that showed up after the day you'd had. Instead, you treated everyone kindly, defended an elderly lady, kept your cool, even when someone was rude. That's not a common skill." Emma blushed slightly. "I'm just trying to do what's right," she muttered. "And that's exactly the kind of person I want close to me," Alexander said. "I also run a foundation that supports families in need. I need someone who really understands what that feels like, someone who can talk to people and not judge them. I'd like to offer you a job there. Full salary, flexible hours, room for promotion. There will also be a partner daycare available for your son." Emma stared at him, convinced she had misheard. "Are you serious?" "I never joke when it comes to business," he replied. "Serious. This is not charity. It's an investment. I see in you someone who, one day, could help many people who feel exactly the way you did when you texted me. Tears welled up in Emma's eyes. I don't know what to say. Just tell me if you accept or not, Alexander replied. If you accept, those $2,000 you won't even need to pay back. We'll consider them the first investment in you. If you don't, I'll still help you clear your debt somehow, but I won't expect anything further. She looked out the window at the bustling city, then thought of Noah, the empty fridge, the sleepless nights counting coins. I accept, she finally said, her voice starting as a whisper and turning into a firm, yes, I accept, but not because I want to be rescued, rather because I want to learn how to be the person who reaches out to others someday. Alexander nodded, satisfied. Then welcome aboard, Emma. Months went by. Emma learned her new job with dedication, growing in her role and confidence. She started meeting other single moms, families crushed by debt, young people who just wanted a second chance. Every time she saw a woman with tired eyes but full of love for her children, she remembered herself sitting on that kitchen floor, with a phone in her hand and no certainties ahead. The wrong text that had changed her life became a story that Alexander would eventually tell at conferences about his foundation, leaving Emma's name out but explaining the deeper meaning behind it. It wasn't just luck. It was proof that sometimes dignity and sincerity can open doors that seem forever shut. In the end, it had all begun with a small, almost desperate gesture, a message sent to the wrong number on a random night. Emma could have lied, made up stories, used the money, and disappeared. Instead, she chose the harder path, the path of honesty, gratitude, and respect, even toward a stranger. And Alexander, on the other side of the screen, could have ignored her, blocked her number, or dismissed her as just another person asking for money. Instead, he chose to listen, to look beyond prejudice, to get involved. This story reminds us that we can't always control what happens to us, but we can always choose how to respond, with honesty or deceit, with fear or courage, by shutting down or making room for something new. Sometimes, behind what looks like a simple mistake, there is a huge opportunity for change. If this story moved you, made you think, or reminded you that even in the darkest moments, an unexpected light can appear, I invite you to leave a comment below. Share a time when a choice, an encounter, or even a mistake changed something in your life. And if you want to keep traveling with us through these stories of redemption, second chances, and decisions that change destinies, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. There are many more lives to tell, and maybe one day uno di loro assomiglierà molto il tuo.